Hello, hello. And yes, I am here live. It is so wonderful. Wednesdays are always my favorite day. Love to share the Janome love as you always. I'm just double checking my phone. These notifications always there's a bit of a delay. But I think I should be live now. Um, I'm just trying to find where I am. There I am. Yes. Lovely. So I am live in the Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page, Janome Canada Facebook page, Janome Canada YouTube, and Janome America YouTube. Any place we can share the Janome love. Lovely. Just turn that phone off. Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to see you all. My name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada. And yes, I'm back from my palatial estate on a gorgeous sunny day. And again, even though, yes, I'd love to take my machine outside to sew, I sometimes do that. Yes, I'm down in my very messy sewing room at my palatial estate here in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. I'm about 2 hours north of Toronto. And again, here to share some Janome love all about embroidery couching. And I love that so many people have already jumped on early. They're very excited to see this. All month, for the month of May, we've been talking about couching that is traditionally done by hand, of course, to attach braids and yarns, trims, even a string of pearls onto fabric. And then, of course, our regular sewing machines we can do with the beading feet. There's a wide groove or narrow groove, or then the free motion couching foot set that I demoed a couple of weeks ago and showed you some inspiration, where to find some inspiration on how to do this very fun technique. And then today, and then, of course, last week I did serger couching, again with the serger beading feet that we can do in so many different mediums, that we could do it on our sewing machine, on the serger, and now our embroidery machine. So let me flip around as always. So if you have an embroidery machine or are thinking of getting one, and you're wondering, well, what can I do, besides regular old embroidery? It's always wonderful, but it gets a little routine after a while. Well, this is where you can turn your embroidery machine for more creativity. So how about lots of samples to show you? Look at this beautiful yarn couching, how perfect that is. I personally could never draw that so perfectly, could never stitch that free motion wise, freehand wise so perfectly. So I let my machines do a lot of the heavy lifting, as I say. Oh, my sister Deb is here. Perfect timing. I just started. See this gorgeous sample. It is going to be a pillow. So this could be, imagine a quilt block, a tote bag, back on a jacket, for example, on a skirt, or again, this will be a pillow. Look at all that beautiful fuzzy texture. And I get these yarns from the discount store, so they don't really cost a lot either. I have backed it with stabilizer. Since we're going to embroider this, we need to beef up our fabric somehow. So we back with stabilizer, regular stabilizer, and then we can always tear that away, cut it away. Here is some more. Look at all that fuzzy, fuzzy green yarn. Isn't that beautiful? This reminds me kind of those chenille blankets from the 50s, but look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? All that texture. So imagine doing a quilt with all these blocks. Wouldn't that kid, or a pillow, wouldn't a child love to cuddle up with that? Maybe you would too. And you'll see all of these designs here. There are many, many embroidery couching designs. Now, some machines like Skyline S9 already comes with the embroidery couching presser feet and the designs, everything built in. The CM17 as well can do embroidery couching, comes with all the designs, comes with all the feet that you need. But look at all this. You can use this multicolor yarn. Isn't that fun? Use a couple of different colors of yarns. It is so fun, this beautiful flower, this butterfly. But, if you didn't want to do this yarn couching, well, those are the same designs. Look how intricate that looks. The same design, there's that cute little flower. So you will download these embroidery designs, or again, they already come with your machine. Today I'm on the 550 ELE, which I'll show you in just a moment. And again, we'll download these designs. There's that cute little butterfly. So once you download the designs, you can stitch them out with regular thread, or boom, there's that design with the embroidery couching. So you basically have more free embroidery designs. And of course, with our embroidery machine, there's an embroidery couching design. We can include our fonts, you know, from our machine. I always think that looks like Mickey Mouse. Isn't that cute? Look at that little sparkle of yarn. So any kind of yarn, if you're a knitter or crocheter, look, and more of that beautiful textured yarn. Or that's the same design. This is that design, but it looks slightly different. This is a chunkier yarn, a fuzzier yarn, but isn't that cute? So again, if you're already a knitter or crocheter and you already have some yarn, this is a great way to use it. Or how about this? Again, that other design, because it's software, I was able to increase the design 20%, or we can shrink the design 20% in our machines. And again, included there Janome and the border and normal sew designs that are built into our embroidery machines, the fonts built into our embroidery machine, so we can combine. Janome is now 104. Can you believe it? We can combine, you know, the border sew, the fonts with this embroidery couching. Isn't that fun? Isn't that so gorgeous? So cool. So many things that we can do. And again, oh, there's my butterfly. There's my butterfly. They look a little bit different with the various yarns. Or how about this? These are the same butterflies, but I just stitched this with regular thread and shrunk it 20%. There's that multicolor yarn. There's that big, chunky, fuzzy yarn, again, just from the discount store. But isn't that fun? So they look entirely different based on whatever yarn you end up using. So where do we get all of this? Again, Skyline S9, it already comes included. CM17 already comes included. This is the fabulous 550E, and then the similarly 550 ELE looks, it's the same machine. A couple of different features and some additional designs in the ELE. But again, it's all the same machine. You need, look for the 500E, the 450E, the 400E. So we're going back a number of years for the standalone embroidery models. 400E, 550E, or 450E, 500E, 550E, and the 550 ELE is this embroidery couching kit. You see this funny little hook here. We have 2 different embroidery feet, all instructions included. Here we are, all instructions included in the blister pack. And you see there's 2 separate embroidery feet now. We take off the regular embroidery foot, and we can replace it with either PCA or PCB. In some machines, they're called PC1 and PC2, and it stands for then the embroidery couching, because you know our regular embroidery foot, which looks like this for my 550E, 550 ELE, this is our regular embroidery foot, is the P foot. So this is why these feet included in this embroidery couching kit are the PC A and B. There is the part number for the embroidery couching kit for the 550E, 550 ELE, again, 500E, 450E, 400E. So double check with your Janome dealer. You can order this, or it may even be in stock in their store. And for those of you with a 15,000, oh yes, we had a separate embroidery couching kit for the Memory Craft 15,000. Works very similarly. Again, full instructions, do you see? Now here is where they call those feet PC1 and PC2. Full instructions in the blister pack. Many blogs on Janome Life. There is the part number for, this is for the 15,000 embroidery couching kit. And I know at least in Janome Canada, in our warehouse, we have a ton of these. So you can still order these from your fabulous Janome dealer. So almost all of our Janome embroidery machines can use this embroidery couching kit. You need the correct one, so double check with your Janome dealer. So this is the PC, what is this? The PCA foot. It's the small foot. They have openings in the feet. And you see, I have my yarn through the hole of the foot. And there's a little trap door that we can open and close to get this yarn through if we need. And this is where I say, again, we get this blister pack we get it from our Janome dealer, and then we take this to the craft store, so then we know it's going to fit. So again, here is our other foot, and again, they've got little holes where we can attach the yarn. We can string the yarn through, and it works really, really well. So you can go back to Janome Canada YouTube, Janome America YouTube. Again, tons of video on Janome Life blog. Look at that beautiful flower with this multicolor yarn. So cute. So many things we can do. So once we get the kit, up here at the top, again, it comes with, this is for, again, the 550E, 550 ELE and such, the embroidery only machines. Comes with this little hook where we put in the hole of the auxiliary spool pin. So this goes here, and you can imagine then we will just string up our yarn to go over that hook. I'll give this yarn a try, that I would just hook it over here. We don't want the yarn to pull tight. We want to make sure there's some slack in the yarn. If it pulls tight, it doesn't couch down as well. Now, lately, I've been putting my yarn on. This is just a regular empty spool of thread from our Irish thread. This is the Janome tape stand that I use for binding. So I just wrap my yarn around that spool, and look how easy it is to come off the cone. So there, I would just loop this yarn, and again, make sure we want some slack in the yarn. We don't want to pull it tight, or else it's not going to couch down as easily. So that, I thought, was a really cool kind of hack. If you already have your tape stand, you're already going to have your empty spools of thread. You just wrap your yarn around it, and it comes off very easily. So that works out great. So here I'm just going to ball up my yarn next to my machine. And again, we want the slack in the yarn. So it's that little hook. And then I've replaced already my regular P foot that I have the larger. This is the PCB foot that's larger opening. So again, you take your yarn to you take your feet to the craft store to make sure they fit. Now, many different types of yarns that you've seen some of these in various presentations that I've been doing all this month, and you just try to see, will it fit through the opening? Now, be wary of yarns like this, that it has this slub or this little extra curl around it. This is not going to work at all, but look what I can do. Separate it. Isn't that gorgeous? So I can use this strand in another purpose for another technique, and I use this strand. Maybe I can use this strand in my embroidery couching foot. So you just experiment. Or you take your yarn. Do you see this is a 3-ply or a 2-ply yarn, and now I can separate it. So instead of 2-ply, then I made it a 1-ply. So maybe I can use this instead. So you really just experiment. You have lots of fun. I'm just going to try this yarn. Now, there is this little trap door that I mentioned that you can open, but I find overall, see, there's a little notch in the foot. And it'll be very hard for me to show in a close-up, but there is a little notch in the foot. And again, you see, again, there's lots of blogs on Janome Life as well as videos on Janome Canada YouTube. Do you see there's this little notch right there in the foot? So I just put my yarn through just under. I just clipped it. Do you see where my seam ripper is going? Just right under that little hook, and it will go under there just beautifully. So there is my yarn. I want to make sure, I don't want it to go I don't want it to go tight. Now, be careful of your yarn as well. If you have any kind of, sometimes they end up just tying the yarn together. So make sure that you go through pull out your strand and make sure, okay, there's no knots where they literally just tie the yarn together. You don't want to get that in the way. You can always stop it and cut it if need be. So now where do we find these designs? And as always, my time is just racing by. Where do we find these designs? Well, full instructions in the blister pack, and they tell us to go to the Janome global site, and which is here. You type in your browser, Janome global site, and then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to look for where it says machine owners information and update. And I'm just gonna try to get my mouse, try to get my mouse over there. Click, double click, click. There we go. And then I scroll down to, well, what machine am I using? I'm using the 550E. So I scroll down to it. If you've got a 500E, click on that. And then, oops, one click. And there it will tell you embroidery couching designs. So you click on that download, and there you go. There's some drawings of some of the designs, full instructions to download these to a USB stick, and then you will bring it to your machine. You can even print out this PDF if you would like. There are the designs. They tell you which hoop size. So isn't that cute? Most are for the SQ14B hoop, which is the 5.5 by 5.5 hoop. So again, easily versatility. And again, with a larger hoop, you can increase the size 20% or decrease the size. It's all in the editing capabilities of your machine. So once I have the designs on my USB stick and I bring them into the machine, and then again, we want the file folder going out. Where are my designs? They're on the USB stick. And then we scroll through. Where are they? Well, here is where I have my embroidery couching design. So I'll just do this cute little flower. It's telling me, again, the SQ14B hoop, 5.5 by 5.5. Really cute. Now, important thing about these embroidery couching designs and your yarn, you want to make sure you don't use a yarn too thick. It may go through the hole, but double check the design that it doesn't, stitch over itself too many times, because that's a big buildup of yarn. So you may find, for certain designs, you may need to use a thinner yarn, so then it doesn't, stitch over itself too much. It can get caught. So here I know, yes, this feeds through good. I just have, again, stabilizer in my hoop. I have my fabric just floating on top, but I could have this fabric hooped as well if I wish. So again, I'm just gonna start, and then I'm gonna stop. I'll start a little bit more. Oh no, I can get it. I'm just gonna stop because with my 4-inch mini duckling scissors here, I'm gonna go in, and this little tail of yarn, I'm just gonna trim away. So now I can start this again, and I'm just gonna kind of guide this yarn with my hand, and I'm making sure that it is not pulling tight. I've got my yarn up over the embroidery carriage, so I don't have to worry about the yarn, slipping under the carriage and getting caught. If ever you find it's pulling tight, stop your machine. And again, you come over here to your little hook here. This is why this hook is included. We want the yarn to come up and down and bring it some slack. And again, I don't want too much slack that it may wrap around the embroidery carriage. So instead, what I do is I hold it back here. I hold it up like that. So I have lots of slack in my yarn, but I know I'm not going to wrap it around my embroidery carriage. Ask me how I know. That's a good tip to do. You don't want to, you get so engrossed in watching what's happening here. You sort of forget what your yarn is doing because you're so excited to see it, stitch out in front of you. So just make sure that you hold up your yarn. It does work out easier. How simple and how easy is this? You're just letting the machine work its magic. And then when we're getting done, a couple of lock stitches in place, boom, done. That simple. Cut my threads. Now here, when I go to remove my embroidery hoop, again, I take my 4-inch mini duckling scissors, I trim off my thread, and no problem at all. Extra high presser foot lift here on most of our machines. So that helps get my hoop out of the way. You see that gorgeous flower. And then again, barely up there, you can see like my orangey thread. Again, I can just brush it here. If you match your thread, you'll never see it. But again, look, you really don't see that thread at all, especially with this textured yarn. It just kind of buries in. If your yarn ends up a little too tight and it doesn't couch down, you can always either rip it out or just continue your design and then go back later. Cut your yarn, go back later, back up the design, and just with thread, go over what you've already stitched, and it'll go down beautifully. Now, this is the cool thing. You see, it's all a straight stitch. On our sewing machines, we do couching with a zigzag stitch. But here on the embroidery machine, they can only go, straight up and down. Well, this is why these special embroidery feet are included in the kit, because they keep the yarn directly centered under the needle. So that is why we're able to get it exactly in place. Ooh, and do I have time to stitch another one? They are so fun. They are so addictive. Eventually, I want to put these all on, again, like a tote bag or a quilt is really what I want to do with all this beautiful fuzzy texture. And again, I can, wait till I do my design. So here we can think, okay, well, then this was one design. Now, if we wanted to go in, even with this design that I've already used, I want to go in and now I want to, maybe add lettering to this. And I want to do some editing. So go into our home, we go into our edit function. There's our design. We can move it. And this is a touch screen as well. So yes, I can touch it, or there is an included stylus. So do you see it automatically wanted to stitch in the center of my hoop, but I can bring it down and then I can go into, again, ABC, and I can select our fonts. Okay, and then again, I can bring that up and scroll through. There's our fonts. I can curve it. Oops, I want to curve it the other way. Curve it around. Again, there's so much we can do with our embroidery machines. Then if I say, okay, that's great, but oh no, maybe I want to do some more edits, like I want to change my hoop size. So now I have a bigger hoop. So maybe if I don't want that, Janome, and I don't want that design, or maybe I want to double my design, or maybe then I come in and select, this butterfly. I really love butterflies. So there's my butterfly, but I've got this big hoop. Well, now, I want to make sure I select the correct hoop. There we go. Now I can make this hoop bigger. So here is my size. Again, we can go up 20%. We can shrink it 20%. I always like to go bigger, especially with the chunkier your yarn, your bigger your design. So you can blow this up, click OK. And again, I can bring him down. And then I could add the word Janome. I could bring in another design, whatever I want to do. I'm just going to Oh, in fact, maybe I want to I can rotate this guy a little bit. There's some room in my hoop. So what if I try to rotate it? Oh no, he's going to go out of the size because I made him too big. Okay. Again, there's so much flexibility you can do. So I'm just going to move him down and stitch him as it is, because then if I put a font here, again, it'll take too long to stitch. So there we go. It tells me what hoop, the RE20B, 5.5 by 7.9. I double check, RE20B, yes. Believe me, this is why Janome prints right on your hoop what size it is. And you do want to pay attention. Trust me. Ask me how I know. Pay attention to what hoop you have. So then, again, away I go. Oh, lower my foot. Don't you love a machine that does the thinking for you? Oh, it would help if I attached my hoop. I got so excited. There we go. Okay. So then start. And then again, I want to remove this little extra yarn. I don't need that little tail. So can clip him off. And these designs, you'll go over. You don't have to worry about securing that little bit of yarn because the designs will finish. They stop and start, or they start and stop in the same location. So when I finish this butterfly, it's just going to stitch back exactly where I started. So those couple of locking stitches will secure that yarn that I started with. So I don't have to worry about trying to secure that. And again, how easy is this? And again, I've got my yarn held up so I know it's not going to drag around my carriage. I've got lots of slack in my yarn. Now you can always slow your embroidery machine down as well if you're feeling a little like, oh gosh, the machine is getting away from me. Oh, and this one actually ended up here. Normally they start back at the same spot. This ended here. Again, totally fine. They have those tiny little lock stitches when they start. So the yarn is perfectly secure. And again, just remove my hoop, remove this yarn. Again, it's just so fun. So there we go. In minutes, right before your eyes, I did this beautiful yarn. Look at all that beautiful texture. Exactly, that was fast. Now, again, you can slow your embroidery machine down if you feel like, oh, there's too many parts and pieces moving. I've got to watch my yarn doesn't pull and I don't want it to wrap around the carriage. You know, you can always slow your embroidery machine down. But this, I thought, was also fun. Then not only do we have all this beautiful texture with this yarn, but then I decided to, you know, play a little more with this yarn. So this is the yarn. It's this wonderful multicolor yarn. And this is what it looks like just stitching down. This yarn looks a little different. Can you tell? Oh, it would be helpful if I had maybe this light on. If I can turn it on. No, it doesn't want to work. There we go. But yes, that if you can maybe tell, it looks a little different. And what I used to kind of brush out this yarn, this cute little brush that comes in, ooh, embroidery, brush out embroidery kit. Now this is quite old. This actually has a plastic foot that is similar to the couching feet, that there's a little hole in the foot for the yarn to go through. There's this little cup that goes onto the needle clamp screw. Again, full instructions in the blister pack. This will work on your 550 ELE, 500E. I've tried this on the CM17. It works just fine. It works with all embroidery machines, even though this is a very older part, but it works beautifully. This brush out embroidery kit comes with everything you need. Again, full instructions in the blister pack. There's the part number for it. I know in Canada, we still have these in stock. I don't know about Janome America, but it comes with these this cute little brush. And this is what I did, is I brushed up this yarn. So I gave it some more texture, and it looks almost like windswept. You know, the petals are being windswept over. I was doing that a little bit on this one. Do you see this is my regular yarn? And then this, again, I was just creating, do you see that texture? I was just creating a little more texture, making it a little fuzzier, sort of before and after. It's just really fun. I don't know if this guy will do it a little more. It's already a fuzzy yarn, but I could make it a little fuzzier. Or even if you have this, you know, as a pillow, let's say, and somebody's laid over the pillow, you use this little brush just to perk it up a little bit. And that's the fun thing. You get all of this stuff from your Janome dealer. Janome is always about more, more, more. And you get all of this stuff at home. And then people always wonder, well, when do I use it? How do I use it? And there, I have this for brush out embroidery. So I can make this. Ooh, it's even softer. Ooh, I like that. That's very fun. So this brush out embroidery kit, again, is also available from your Janome dealer. I had made this for my niece a while ago. Do you see? And then with the fonts of my machine, stitched her name. This cute little ballerina design is one of the brush out embroidery designs. And then you see, and we just get the yarn and we brush it out so her tutu becomes very fluffy. Or the first one I did, you'll really see the difference of this brush out embroidery. There is my yarn. And again, this design is one of the brush out embroidery designs. It's not the embroidery couching design. It's the brush out embroidery design. And there's a whole separate CD with designs. So here it is, but look at this guy all with that brush. So this is similar, like yarn couching, but specifically it's brush out embroidery. So there we go. We can fluff it up and make it really cool. And then, yes, so many cute designs. Look at that little baby. And then again, I could brush up the little blanket, or here Santa's beard, how I brushed up Santa's beard after I stitched it. Isn't that great texture? So it's a similar, how much money does it cost? You must go to your individual Janome dealers. Janome always sets the like MSRP, the suggested retail price of our machines and all of our, you know, presser feet and everything, but it's up to the individual Janome dealers on what they price them at. They may also have some special promotions going on in their store, so do double check with them. So specifically today, the main thing that I demoed here in the 550E, again, that beautiful butterfly, was the embroidery couching kit that is for the 550E, 550ELE, 500E, 450E, 400E. Again, there is the part number. And again, it already comes included with Skyline S9. The Memorycraft 15,000 had its own kit. The CM17 already comes included with all the yarn couching accessories. Oh, then yes, speaking of CM17, this was a design, yarn couching design of the CM17, but instead of stitching it with yarn, this happy Halloween, I just stitched it with thread. So isn't that cool? Or again, as I said, we can stitch these design. There's a bat with yarn. And then there, can you see the bat? You can sort of see through it. If I put some white behind there, can you see? That's the bat just stitched out in black thread. I didn't put any yarn behind it. So now I thought that would be kind of cool to wrap around a glass candle so we could see the light behind it. So I thought that would be very cool. So there's lots of things you can do with this embroidery couching. And I want to flip my camera because, as always, my time is racing by. And yes, as I said, that we don't always have to use yarn with that embroidery couching kit. For example, I will stand up and you always see, what does the lower half of me look like? Well, here I call these my Instagram jeans. Do you see here on this patch with this beautiful metallic thread? That's the embroidery couching design, but instead of using yarn, I just stitched it in metallic thread. And I have another one here on my hip, again, if you can see, with metallic thread, or there on my knee. Oh, I don't know if you can see this. I decided after the fact to share my jeans. I probably should have not worn them today. Can you see that little, that's the little flower I've been stitching out all the time. So it's really, really fun that, again, even as patches on garments, you can use your embroidery couching designs. They don't even have to be with yarn. So you can just stitch them out on metallic thread and, again, use them as patches on your jeans. So there's so much we can do with all of our Janome accessories, all of our presser feet, all of our fabulous machines. So yes. Oh, I'd love to put the pattern on granny squares. Yes, that would be wonderful. There's so many fun things that you could do. Imagine a whole quilt out of this butterfly, and again, with all that texture of the yarn, and you could do multicolors of the butterflies. Like, there's just no end to the creativity. So much you can do with your fabulous Janome machines and the embroidery couching kit available for many of them. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining me today. I always have such fun with you all. I hope you will join me next week. I can't believe it's already June. Next week, my sister's birthday on Sunday, and Marilyn Monroe's. Yeah, so I will see you all next Wednesday for some more fabulous tips and tricks. Thank you all for joining me. Have a fabulous day. Bye.